Today, Porsche sells SUVs, sedans, and even electric cars. But at the center of the entire brand lies the iconic 911. It's the brand's most recognizable model, which has been in production for over 60 years. The thing is, the 911 is one of the most profitable vehicles ever made. And these profits subsidize almost everything else the company does. From R&D on electric drivetrains for EV models to SUVs that outsell the 911 many times over. In this video, we're going to explore how the 911 became Porsche's financial backbone. First, we're going to get into a short history of the 911 and how it kept Porsche afloat during tough times. Then we're going to look into the economics of the 911 and how Porsche has managed to squeeze so much profit out of a single platform. Finally, we're going to look into the strategy of how Porsche leverages the success of the 911 to expand into new markets, take risks on new technology, all while keeping its brand identity intact. To understand the historical significance of the model, we need to go back in time to when Porsche wasn't the financial behemoth that it is today. The Porsche 911 first launched in 1964 as the successor to the company's original 356 sports car. And from the start, it became the face of Porsche and a huge part of the company's identity. However, a few decades later, in the 1990s, Porsche was in serious financial trouble. Between 1991 and 1992, the company only sold around 23,000 vehicles, down from a peak of 50,000 in 1986. And they saw significant losses, around 144 million US dollars. During the time, Porsche was the least efficient automaker in the world, and it took them over 120 hours to build a 911, compared to just 30 hours for Toyota to build a Corolla. So Porsche's new CEO at the time, Wendelin Wiedeking, I hope I pronounced that correctly, he brought in consultants from Toyota. And Toyota, obviously being masters of production and efficiency, taught the Germans how to be efficient. They adopted the lean manufacturing methods that Toyota uses, called the Toyota Production System, or TPS, and the Just-in-Time, or JIT playbook. This helped to cut waste and streamline production. And from a brand perspective, the 911 was really Porsche's lifeline during this period. Even as sales slumped, the 911 carried immense prestige. It was a car that buyers, fans, and investors believed in and loved. It was profitable, iconic, and it gave Porsche just enough of a financial cushion, which they really needed at the time, to stay alive. And it wasn't until 1995 that the company finally returned to profitability, in large part thanks to the Boxster, a lower-priced roadster that shared many parts with the 911. The Boxster quickly became a hit. Customers saw it as a more affordable entry point into Porsche's sports car heritage, and it boosted sales volume. Most people credit the Boxster with saving Porsche in the short term during this period, but the Boxster only succeeded because the 911 had already built the reputation, the engineering foundation, and the profits to make it possible. So in order to understand how Porsche built an $80 billion empire of SUVs, sports cars, and sedans, and how the 911 props up all those other vehicles, you have to understand the financial side of the 911 because it's unlike anything else in the automotive industry. On higher-end trims, Porsche is able to profit over $100,000 per unit, around 40 to 50% profit. To give you some perspective, most mass-market automakers make around $2,000 to $4,000 profit per unit on something like a Toyota Camry or a Honda Accord. Even luxury brands like Lexus, BMW, and Mercedes rarely get close to the margins Porsche sees on the 911. The thing is, the 911 makes up only 11% of sales by volume, but the model accounts for over 30% of Porsche's total earnings. Michael Dean, an automotive equity research analyst at Bloomberg, stated the following: "It's a very simple calculation. The 911 is very profitable in its own form, and when you add the variations, the margins become immense. If you assume they sell 10,000 turbos, plus GT3 and Turbo S's, just the turbo variants of the 911 alone could actually mean $500 million in terms of profit for Porsche." So how does Porsche pull this off? The answer lies in how they've structured the 911 lineup. The 911 is sold in a seemingly endless amount of trims. There's the Carrera S, the Carrera T, the Carrera 4, the Turbo S, the GT3, the GT3 RS, the GT2 RS, the Targa, and various limited anniversary editions such as the Spirit 70 and the Turbo 50 years. And the list goes on. What makes this work so well is that they're all built on the same platform. And in manufacturing, this means that developing and producing more models can be done extremely cost effectively. A base Carrera starts at around $120,000, while a GT3 RS can cost over $250,000 US. But the incremental R&D plus engineering costs are much smaller than the $130,000 price difference. It's a classic case of product line segmentation. The same way Apple does it with the iPhone, Porsche has taken its hero product and split it into dozens of micro markets, each targeting a different kind of buyer. Through the 911, Porsche shows us how a single product stretched across decades can be monetized over and over again through scarcity, exclusivity, and incremental upgrades. Globally, Porsche produced 41,947 units of the 911 in 2022. By 2024, 911 production numbers had risen to 49,095 units. Evidence that even as Porsche has expanded into SUVs and electric cars, the 911 continues to be a consistent premium choice for buyers within the brand's portfolio. And outside of the Boxster, it's so surprising to see how the profits from the 911 have pretty much bankrolled the development of Porsche's entire vehicle lineup. One of the best examples of this was in 2002. The year that Porsche launched the Cayenne. Nowadays, the Cayenne is the second best-selling Porsche, but at the time, launching this model was a massive gamble. An SUV from a brand known only for producing sports cars was considered blasphemy by most enthusiasts. But Porsche had two things going for it before launching the Cayenne. They had the financial cushion of the 911 and the halo effect of the brand that despite this being an SUV, it's a Porsche, and it can still feel like a Porsche. The Cayenne quickly became the brand's best seller, and it was the model that stabilized Porsche's long-term financial future. From there, Porsche doubled down on its expansion. The four-door Panamera in 2009, the smaller Macan SUV in 2014, and finally the electric Taycan in 2019. An interesting theory is that this actually might have been the game plan all along. More than a decade before the Cayenne's launch in 1989, Ferry Porsche stated the following: if we build an off-road model according to our standards of quality and it has a Porsche crest on the front, people will buy it. That brings us to today. Porsche faces the same challenges as every other auto manufacturer. How to move into the electric and hybrid future without losing what makes the brand stand out. For Porsche, the stakes are even higher with the 911 because it's a car that is defined by its flat-six engine and rear engine layout. So their priority is to protect the 911's identity at all costs. The company has had the opportunity to experiment with EVs and electrification through the Taycan and the newer Macan EV. These cars let Porsche learn, test, and adapt without risking damaging the reputation of their crown jewel. EV margins are thin, competition is brutal, and battery technology is expensive. But Porsche can afford to play in this space because the 911 keeps the cash flowing. When Porsche went public in 2022, the company was valued at over 80 billion euros. And after reviewing the financials, most analysts came to the same conclusion. The 911 is Porsche's profit engine that gives the brand stability, especially as the company takes on risks associated with expanding into new lineups and electrification. Thank you for watching Heavy Signal. My name is Nick. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you're interested in seeing more business videos like the one you just watched, definitely consider sticking around.